Hello everyone, welcome to the channel. In today's video, like the title suggests, I want to talk about a really interesting trend that most importantly, maybe is going to open up an option that didn't exist realistically in the last 2-3 years. And this is the combination of some coastal proximity with new construction. A lot of people relocating want new construction for a myriad of reasons. But going into 2026, borderline, most of this stuff is existing now 15 plus miles one way from the water. You're moving to Florida for Florida reasons. This is at the mercy of land available. So how much is that solely your dream if you're 25 miles one way to the water, which puts you almost an hour? New stuff has started popping up that maybe creates a marriage of those two things in a unique way, and hopefully it could appeal to you. So that's what we're gonna do. I hope you enjoy it. I wanted to mention one thing real quick. In the description box below, there's a link for this flip book. And versus just a regular random PDF, what I wanted to do is break down new construction in a way that the internet has trouble doing. So there's 1,500-ish developments in Florida. We broke them down by a regional map we created. So it shows you the density in the areas that you might be interested in. So it narrows it. And then also it goes by lifestyle. So you might be like, I'm trying to live laid back near the beach. Where are the areas in Florida that provide that more than others? And then it even goes into builder breakdowns of what you will probably come across and who they are and what they mean versus each other. So check that out. Again, description box below. My name is Adam Hancock. I hope you enjoy. All right, so what is basically happening right now, Southwest Florida is a great example if we're looking at the whole state when you talk new construction, because you have a pretty small metro, but the density of new construction within it is interesting. 36% of the whole state's actively building single family communities are right here, and it's one of the smaller metros. If you toss in Orlando, on top of that, you're talking over 50% of the whole metro, and then very little in Southeast, Atlantic coast, sprinklings here. Jacksonville's got a good portion, but big metro, and then nothing in the Panhandle really either. So it's the best example, I think, because of the grid-like fashion it's built. Sarasota dominates all of that conversation for the most part. There's 2 counties here, but what basically happens in all of these towns, which makes total sense, and look how narrow the state is, right? So it's some of the benefits of the proximity is the narrowness versus like a Texas or something, is that you have a small metro like this that most of it's consolidated here. You have one area that everybody originally wanted to get to, you know? So in Sarasota, that would have been, it's easy because the downtown is right here, the major downtown. And the downtown is only 3.5 miles from the beach. So you're like, oh, you get both of those, that's awesome. And then the bays in between, so you have bay, golf, beach, downtown. Well, and then they built, you don't just have one beach, Siesta Key's here. That's always like top 10 lists in the world for beaches, pretty much. Lido Key's here, lovely, underrated. And then Longboat Key is here. It's basically the same length as Siesta Key, but really the bottom half is what's important because you get up here, it gets a little squirrely as far as getting on and off. There's no bridge. So what you have is you have all of this, and all you have to do is go west, and a 6-mile corridor, you got it all. So of course, if you could call your shots, you're going there every single time. Well, if a town's popular for 50 years, you know, then eventually isn't everything around it going to be built? And then just where do you go around it and how does that get created? Do you go east first slightly or do you go down and stay coastal? And that is the whole town, really. Most of this has gone around here and it's gone down, really. Down was where it went first. You have an airport up here and it's like, this is more of like street to street, house to house. This is more mature Florida looking stuff, but it just kind of was already built. So there's a huge suburb down here called Palmer Ranch. It was like 20 years ago it was built, you know. A couple pass-through towns, Osprey and Nokomis, then you have like a junior Sarasota, which is Venice. And that's basically how it was built, you know. So of course, like then you're gonna go over and over and over because this has been an area that people have been seeking. The interesting thing about retiring in general, if you don't live in the state of Florida, and you're gonna say, I'm in New Jersey, I'm in Canada, New York, whatever it may be, throw California in here, and say where, my whole case to Florida, not Florida, is where are you gonna go? Like, if New Jersey is a better example. Like, weather, all these kind of things that you can't escape. Where are you going to go? I don't think you're leaving New Jersey and going west to Arizona, California, that area. I think Arizona is a massive relocation thing, but I think it's mainly from people already over there. If you're in California, you're in Seattle, you're in Nevada, and you're going to go somewhere else, then Florida's a long way away. Everybody else in the Northeast is coming down. And they could stop on their way down for some seasonality, some affordability in the Carolinas, coastal Georgia, and that kind of thing. But these are very, very, like very narrow states, right? Like you can start getting up in here, you can say, yeah, I mean, I love Savannah, I love Charleston, but if you don't do those, where are you gonna go? Like if you had a better map with like the grid lines here, they're narrow on the coastal thing. So there's not 5 choices if the market doesn't work. You start getting pretty north, you got seasonality again in a way that you're like, hey, I've lived there for 30 years, I don't wanna do that again. And then nothing about Texas satiates anything you'd like about Florida, other than maybe politics and some tax advantage environment. It's the coastal environment is Galveston is not Siesta Key. I don't think anyone's arguing that. And it's just a land sprawl, so it really doesn't satiate any of the needs. And then it leaves Florida. You can hate it, you can like it. I think it's more of an elimination game than anything. So you can see how the demand has been so great for so long, because now you're looking at one state as the main target and you only can shop a few metros and there are apples to apples or whatever. So it's been in this world for a long, long period of time, So almost all of it's been mature over time. So because of the eastern land availability, they were able to really build a lot of new construction off the back of that still today. I mean, the number one multi-generational master plan community that exists is right here. One of the fastest growing new master plan developments that exists is also right here. And in a metro that you're like, how is this not all done yet, So 36% of the whole state's new construction exists a little bit north and a little bit south of it. So if you're looking at this map, naturally, the only place to go is east. And that is almost entirely where it exists today. If you look at new construction abundance on newhomesource.com, and it's kind of what my guide is created to solve a little bit of, it looks like, oh gosh, this is going to be easy. I could call my shots. There's 1 billion. It looks like the state's so small that they're all kind of close. But if you get even to here, you're 9 miles one way from here, right? Because it's an angle. So that puts you 25 minutes to the beach. The majority of this big suburb I mentioned is actually here and above. And that puts you 15 to 22 miles one way. Again, this isn't material depending on your perspective, but it's 45 minutes one way from all the stuff, And almost all of the new construction is built I-75 line or east. And that's why everybody's so hot on saying west of the interstate or west of this trail, which is 41, because all it means is closer to the water. And that's the beauty of having water. Now, if you're on the Atlantic coast, obviously it's opposite, but my whole point being is that if you come to shop today, you're shopping only north to south versions of already east. Oh, and by the way, if you're enjoying today's content at all, check out the first link in the description box below. I think one of the best things we put out is a bi-monthly email report every 14 days. This is going to have our favorite quick move-in, pre-permanent new construction homes that you can move in quicker to every month. This will have our favorite new construction incentives, discounts, anything interesting they have going on right now. If you're looking at this neighborhood, you should also look at these, which I find very helpful. And then basically just a brain dump of everything else that's going on in our minds. Like I said, every 14 days, the link in the description box below, the very first one you see is the best way to get to that. And let's go back in. This brings us to our major point today. The reason I get this 5-mile inspiration is what you start seeing pop up is stuff like a new community called Grandura. What Grandura is a Pulte-built community. And what they were able to find is this little pocket right here. So this is literally one cul-de-sac of 28 properties. But where it exists, this is the kicker, is right here. And this is Siesta Key, and this is about bridge access and western proximity. So the southern bridge of Siesta Key is Stickney Point right here. And you have Crescent Beach, which is kind of underrated, Sarasota or Siesta Key Beach, which is the main one, and Turtle Beach is at the bottom of the island. But you sit, I think technically you're 4.9 miles. No, I think you're even close to that, maybe 3.7, something like that. You're under 5 miles to this beach, let alone the downtowns right here, all that kind of stuff. But to get in this area, this stuff has been built forever. This is all 70s, 80s, that kind of housing. The major point here is that it's not like you couldn't do urban infill housing at some point forever. You could always go into a neighborhood and buy a spec house that a builder knocked on a door of someone that lived in that house for their entire life, owns it outright, and says, hey, I'll just give you cash, and then knocks it down, spends $300,000 on the land, builds a $2.5 million worth property and sells it to you as a spec. You come in and buy a new construction house on a building permit, construction to perm loan. That's always existed. But that is niche as all get out. Like if you think this is niche, that's way more niche. One, it's all expensive because you're paying a premium for that because they're building the plan. For you to acquire land in a town like Sarasota, cheap enough where the house doesn't cost over $2 million at even $300 to $400 price per square foot is very unusual. It's very hard because you just can't get to that land. And people's whole entire industry built around getting that land. And most of it doesn't trade on MLS. It's typically for a reason. So what this does is it creates, albeit 28 homes, it creates a plan with a normal builder. And it lets you to buy it like a normal build. A normal build is you don't own that house yet. A construction to perm loan is very cash liquidity heavy up front. This is not. This is Pulte. It's a national builder. So you're going to put a deposit down, but you're floating a deposit on a promise that they're going to finish that house and all that kind of stuff. But they own that house the whole time. It doesn't affect your debt to income ratio at all. It's just a little bit of a deposit up front. You buy that house when they get the occupancy certificate, like any normal new construction build. And they have plans to pick from. You don't just pick whatever, which I think there's a level of simplicity to that. They're telling you what they're doing and they're saying, do you want it? Basically. And all these homes will probably be mostly under $1 million. And I think the base prices on these are going to be in the 700 plus range because they're putting a premium on that land. They're narrow, but you could still do pools. But it allows you to see, like, they built the Mystique in a lot of places. They own DeValsta as well. And you go to Talon Preserve, Beach Walk, Lake Spur, you can see what these already look like. Another really interesting example is a builder called Sam Rogers. Sam Rogers is a boutique custom builder of like 50 plus years in Sarasota. The gentleman that owns it, I believe Sam Rogers is his name, he walks every single lot still today. Comes into work every day. Like, it's very family oriented and very detail oriented. Another really interesting thing is they went to a back of a neighborhood that already existed, got land that was probably privately owned or they held for a long period of time in Palmer Ranch, which is right here. Like I said, Palmer Ranch was this community that was Lakewood Ranch before Lakewood Ranch. It was a bunch of new construction near each other with not really communal amenities. The argument is if the new construction, there's a benefit of master plan, of you not being in a new community by itself in a silo necessarily. It's fine, it's a new house, but master plan gives you a new area. It gives people that live in different neighborhoods come together for communal things and also creates a really nice aesthetic as it rolls through an entire area. They create a little town. Palmer Ranch was that, very large, 20 plus communities. It's just 100% resale because they're all done. If the master plan today was built in the areas where the master plan of yesterday was, you probably would choose it 100% of the time. Because why would you go further? It's just the options on the market. So that's what Palmer Ranch is. So look at this and then look at, again, this proximity here. Like Siesta Key's right here, it's west of the interstate, but that neighborhood was already there. That's the whole reason they were able to do it. And what they built, again, is look at the commonality. It's like they got these lots. Right? So they're building, I believe it's 27. But what Sam Rogers also allows you to do is, see, the thing is, Pulte doing it is interesting. There's another neighborhood that I actually bought a house in a few years ago called Fox Trace that's up here, which was David Weekley. They did the same thing. It was literally one roundabout. But the area was awesome because it gave you west of the interstate. And all of the stuff out here, like downtown Waterside, there's a place called Fruitville Commons that was like a mixed commercial space. But also, like, the way to get to the beach is Fruitville Road, which is right here. And so the closer you are to Fruitville, and I'm from here, and like I went to school around that area, so I knew the value of it. You need to cross over east to west to get to stuff. And again, 50 plus communities of Lakewood Ranch were built behind this neighborhood, and this neighborhood was built 20 years after Lakewood Ranch started. They found one pocket. A lot of this typically happens not from national or large builders, it happens from boutique custom builders, because that's kind of their MO. They're not master planning any community typically. Arthur Ruttenberg, Lee Weatherington, they're jumping on the back of someone else that developed it and adding to it. But they're a builder that offers far more flexibility than most people. So this one, they're gonna come in and do 70 by 130 lots, but full custom. So you're gonna get more space and you're gonna get a builder that basically, I mean, they're just much more unique. Like if you compared this to Pulte, obviously it's a different price point as well. But this is a builder that, for example, prides itself on outdoor living. Now, it's Florida, a lot of people do, but they holistically put it like in their mission. The focus is outdoor living. So what it's gonna allow you to not just have like a nice outdoor kitchen and stuff, it's gonna allow you to have cabanas, verandas. It's gonna allow you to decide what you want in advance and not only add really unique things that they don't build casitas and stuff at normal builders ever. It's very unusual, but it's going to allow you to have pool houses and things like that, whether they're attached to the house or not, 4-car garages that not only add to resale, but allow you to take a kind of normal lot in a good area. And if you could customize a house exactly to your spec of how you live, especially if you're just two people, you don't need a 5,000 square foot house to do that. You only need that if you're using the rooms awkwardly because you didn't design that house. That would be a benefit of that, and that's a lot of the time. So I think Sam Rogers is a fantastic example of it, and I think Stonebridge is cool. I like the idea of building on the back of existing neighborhoods because a lot of that land in those neighborhoods isn't sold yet. Like, I don't think people are that aware of that. Like, if you took Sky Ranch in Central Sarasota, John Cannon owns lots in there. They built early on, but like, everybody's thinking it's just Taylor Morrison, and then John Cannon all of a sudden pops up and offers a $2.5 million custom house. Well, same with like Founders Club below Lakewood Ranch. Like these Lee Weatherington held lots behind, London Bay. So I think it's something to vet out before you just make a decision that you might be unhappy with. Another Sam Rogers one I wanted to enlighten you guys to is situated right here. It's Arbor Lake Preserve. I believe this one's availability is going to be before Stonebridge, which I just mentioned. So this one's another really great location because this looks far from stuff, but everything you're trying to get close to is, so if you look above you, that's a really big one. So Waterside Place is this like really awesome downtown. So that's like the bottom of Lakewood Ranch. And what Waterside Place looks like, it is lovely. It has the #1 farmers market in the entire country, is right on that street. It is on big lakes. It has 25-foot wide sidewalks. It does open container when it does festivals. It's very safe for kids. It's very great. It's a Lakewood Ranch amenity, but it's open to the public. So you sit below that. But then more importantly, if you wanted to do things that most of Lakewood Ranch's communities can't, you go downtown Sarasota, Florida. That's what I'm talking about, the cutover roads. That's what you wanted, 9.8 miles to that. Lido Key is the first beach you hit, which is right across that bridge. So that's what I'm talking about. It's about having access to what makes the town great. And they did the same thing. So if you look at Arbor Lake Preserve, it's the same thing. 37 homes including the parking lot. This one's kind of cool because they were real serious about and they might have been restricted when they did it, but it's on 50 acres. They're real serious about how the homes orient the land. And most importantly, these are 90-foot wide. 90-foot wide is a very rare thing in most of the single-family new construction communities in Lakewood Ranch. It allows you to build a much larger home while still being on a single story, which is attractive. I think these are only 120 feet deep, but they've been really creative in how they're doing it, and having 90 feet to go wide allows you to mess with the elevation a lot in order to do so. So just a couple ideas for you. It's not like this is the only thing that will ever exist, but I have not seen this abundantly pop up as much as I've seen it lately. And with the market where it's at, I could totally see builders finding the attractiveness and not saying we're going to go build 1,500 homes here and having a sell plan and like getting a whole sales team to do it and all that kind of stuff. I think they're going to go more niche. And I think they're going to carve out things. But there is a lot of power in a builder going and creating a plan for you versus you as a single person, a family or whatever, trying to come in and discover urban infill while also simultaneously trying to relocate. Also, I've never heard of the builders that build in the area and doing all of that at once. I like this as, at the very least, a learning exercise. Because if you buy the master plan that's easy in Pleasantville and you look at this as well, it's going to point you really hard at that, or it's going to say, this definitely doesn't work. I need to look and see, is there more of this available? And then that's how you kind of open the rabbit hole. All right, folks, that's a wrap for today's video. I hope you enjoyed the content. If you did, please consider subscribing to the channel here if you haven't already done so. It's just the best way to see what's coming next. We have 2 to 3 videos every single week, most Sunday, Monday, Wednesdays, 4 p.m. Central, 5 p.m. Eastern. I mentioned at the beginning, the description box below, the first link is our once every 14-day email report. It's one of the most real-time things that we put out. It's going to include our favorite new construction quick move-in homes that are pre-permitted. A lot of advantages there right now. Discounts, incentives, sellers and new construction builders. We have a this or that section, which, one of the first things you're going to want to know, or you're going to want to know at some point, if I'm looking at this, what else should I look at so I don't have regrets? We cover that. And then the rest of our insight within a 14-day loop of anything we're working on, new developments, anything interesting going on at all. That's the best way to see that. Of course, if we can assist you in the Southwest Florida real estate market at all, please consider reaching out as well. I own a boutique real estate brokerage. It's called the Sunshine State Company. And we just want to do things differently, so our brokerage does not exist separate at all than what we're doing here. It's an extension. So it's the validation, boots on the ground, physical presence when you arrive to town. So we upfront learn all this stuff, try to figure all this stuff out. When you visit town, this is the arm of that. And it works very succinctly. We find it to be one of the best ways that you could relocate by kind of that baton handoff. So, it goes a long way if you have a conversation early and hopefully often as well when you're doing all this research and you're out of state trying to figure all this thing out in a sea of information. Having one conversation could help kick the stone down the road way faster. And to not feel bad about if I reach out to these people, I'm wasting their time because it's too early, or maybe a lot more, you're worried about getting harassed, Like if you click, I want to look at this car, and then you get 400 text messages from a car dealership. We're not that. We're not the real estate version of that. That's not what I wanted to do. So please consider checking that out. I think you'll see that if you give us a chance, and we'd love to partner with you if it makes sense. We have some relocation guides on the website as well if you want to check those out, written word versions of the videos, things like that. Thank you guys so much for consuming my content. We'll see you on the next one.